everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to take a look back at the futuristic action thriller called Virtuosity. Released back on August the 4th, 1995, it stars Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe, Kelly Lynch, Willian Forsythe, and the movie itself was directed by Leonard. Now the story of Virtuosity is set in the back then distant future of 1999, where we follow ex-police officer Parker Barnes, who is serving a long-time prison sentence for killing psycho-criminal Matthew Grimes, who murdered Parker's wife and daughter many years ago. Due to his experience as an officer, Parker has been tasked with testing the virtual reality system, which is designed to help train other police officers to track down criminals. Whilst in the program, Parker and his partner encounter a serial killer program known as Sid. When they try to apprehend Sid, one of the officers is killed when being sent into shock during the pursuit. After this event, the virtual program is ordered to be shut down. Now, the creator of the Sid program, named Daryl Lodemeyer, looks to create another program in an android body, but ends up integrating Sid into this version, manifesting him into an actual human being. Now alive and emboldened, Sid kills an assistant within the program and goes out into the world on a multi-killing spree, filming many of his killings on television. Increasingly concerned by Sid's rampage, the police department offer Barnes a deal to track Sid down in exchange for a full pardon and his freedom. Accompanied by Dr. Madison Carrier, Barnes discovers that the personality of Matthew Grimes has been integrated into Sid's profile. He must then shake off the trauma of memories of his family's murder in order to apprehend Sid at whatever cost. Now, when covering Denzel Washington's movies within this channel, I recently reviewed the 90s action thriller called Ricochet, stating that it probably was the worst movie of Denzel's illustrious career. Whilst I probably still stand by that statement, I have to say that Virtuosity does come extremely close to taking that title. And oh boy, where do we start here in terms of this movie? Tonally, it's all over the place and inconsistent, uneven and misjudged. It really gets off to a bad start from the beginning, where we see the pursuit of Sid within the virtual program, and from this moment on, everything just feels off within the movie in terms of its pacing, the overall staging of the action sequences, and in particular when you look at the stunt work, it comes off quite amateurish and laughable, where we have multiple moments of characters leaping over platforms and fight sequences. They really don't flow very well. You can easily tell that there are stunt doubles being used. It's so obvious, and the whole point of very good editing is that we find it hard to tell where there is a stunt double and whether it's the actual actors taking part. And this was a sign straight away, where we see Parker and his partner in these very garish, like police blue uniforms. Not a very good setting for the film to begin with. And the film itself really doesn't take a while to get going, particularly when we centre on the Sid program himself. We get very strange scenes as we see him talking to another virtual program, an attractive blonde woman. And this is again where the movie really stalls in taking its time to produce its overall story. And on the first time viewing, you really wonder what exactly we're going here in terms of storyline, and what exactly type of movie that we are especially watching. Now, Virtuosity came at a stage within the 1990s where we had a whole host of science fiction, wannabe cyberpunk type of thrillers, that real lower base level where we saw the likes of both John and Economic and also Trackers. And despite the sci-fi setting, there's no real substantial exploration of science fiction themes, whether it be virtual reality or social integration or indeed mental psychosis. It plays very much more like a straightforward cop versus criminal chase thriller within a futuristic setting. Now, Virtuosity isn't quite as bad as Ricochet. It's primarily because as a science fiction futuristic story, you will allow a bit more of a suspension of disbelief, which makes a lot more of the outlandish moments slightly more tolerable, if still not very silly. The other main reason why Virtuosity probably has some credit is Russell Crowe. Now, of course, Crowe has been one of the most renowned and famous leading actors within the last 20 years for movies such as the obvious Gladiator, the likes of The Insider, A Beautiful Mind, and Master and Commander. Well, Crowe has been very renowned for playing stoic characters that lend a certain weight and gravitas to the story. Well, coming in his pre-superstar era, where he was very much of an unknown, it's still quite a startling surprise to see him in the role as Sid here, all crazy and manic with a hyped up energy and very unrestrained. He's definitely let loose here in terms of his performance, and overall it's one of those examples where it's so bad it's very good to watch. And at times you simply can't believe that it's Russell Crowe in this role, especially when we see him mimicking certain mannerisms. There's one very laughable scene where we see him completely naked as he's trying to perform martial art moves. And again, it's a weird fascination that keeps you watching just to see what exactly Russell Crowe will do and say next. And at the very least, his performance and role maintained my interest throughout the movie, no matter how bad it was. Now, in the lead role as Barnes, I think Denzel Washington is absolutely fine. This is the more typical flawed hero who commits murder with some justification. So, as an audience, we keep a certain empathy with him. And he is the more grounded personality within the two lead performances and a much needed counterpoint to all of Crowe's mania. And we probably have here the best scene of the movie where we see the flashback of Barnes arriving at his family's murder and then taking out soldiers and other troops and then eventually Matthew Grimes. Here we do generate some sort of real emotional intensity, and it's just a shame that we couldn't maintain that standard throughout the rest of the entire movie. Now, all of the supporting cast are fine, I would say, in this role. It's good to see Willian Forsythe and also Kelly Lynch, who, if you are a major fan of early 90s cinema, you will also remember her role within the very iconic action movie Roadhouse. So going forward then, in terms of the release of Virtuosity, and it wasn't exactly a box office success, only managing to gross $37 million from a $30 million budget. And Virtuosity is very much a forgotten entry in both the careers of both Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, who both of course reunited many years later to far more critical and commercial success with American Gangster back in 2005, a far more superior film. And in terms of Virtuosity, I would say overall it's a very trashy B-grade science fiction actioner. There is some potential here in terms of its ideas and concepts, but it really was much more concerned in trying to be a pacey thriller rather than a science fiction story carrying any sense of real substance. And for far better satisfaction, I would highly recommend watching Demolition Man instead, released a couple of years ago in 1993, a pure action classic starring Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, with a very similar plot, but with far better execution and impact than sadly what we saw here with Virtuosity. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings when looking back at Virtuosity from 1995. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any other further movies, television series, or any other topics with the pop entertainment and culture scene they'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also let me know within the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.